Hey, Bulls and Bears. Today we're going to ask and answer the question: are younger people, including millennials and Generation Z, priced out of home ownership? Well, not exactly, but a lot of it depends on location, and we're going to talk about that and a lot more. Hey, everybody, my name is Jason. You're watching Bull, Boom, Bear, Bust. Please make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Also, I hope you can hear me well. You might notice no headset today, using a new mic setup here, so hopefully you can hear me. Please let me know if you have any problems with the audio down in comments. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Are younger people in America priced out of the dream of home ownership? Now, I say dream of home ownership because a lot of people don't dream of renting. In some cases, it can be better than buying. Depends on your income. It depends on a lot of other factors. But ultimately, more people than not want to own their homes. And with the housing market the way it is, with prices where they are compared to incomes, and especially compared to the incomes of younger people, today we're going to look at Generation Z and the millennials. So let's go ahead and get started here. First of all, I wasn't sure about this, so I had to look it up. Here are the age ranges for these younger people here. In the United States, millennials were born between 1981 and 1996. That puts them in between 25 and 40 years old. Generation Z, they were born between 1997 and 2012. That puts them between 9 and 24 years old. So obviously most of Generation Z is not old enough to even try to buy a home, but we see the age when people get out of college, typically between 22 and 24. A lot of these people now getting out of college right now are in Generation Z, and many of them looking to buy a home. The sad part is most of them are not in a position to buy a home. And in fact, if you look at the millennials, only about 47% of millennials own their home. And as we just saw on the last chart, older millennials now are 40 years old. Some of them, the ones that were born back in 1981, well, a lot of them actually would be turning 41 this year. And I looked this up for you guys. Currently at 47.9%, millennials have the lowest homeownership rate of any other generation. Now, I don't think they included Generation Z in here just because a lot of them are, still 10, 11, 12 years old. But when compared to all the other generations, millennials have the lowest homeownership rate at 47.9%. And by comparison, the overall home ownership rate in the U.S. stands at about 65.4%. And now with the median home price surpassing $400,000, we can see why so many younger people are having trouble owning a home. Now, of course, many people would look at this and say, okay, it's obvious because home prices are too high, incomes are too low. Well, it's more than that. It's not just the home price by themselves. It's also the overall cost of living. So what now if you have some sort of maintenance or something that breaks down in the home? The cost of just carrying a home, the carrying costs are higher. Taxes are higher. Maintenance costs are higher. Energy prices are higher. The cost of heating and cooling a home, everything is higher. So the home price by itself is just part of the situation that we need to look at here. But something I want to talk about that I haven't seen too many people talking about is location. If you choose to live in a high-priced area, then that is going to be, of course, a bigger problem and make it harder for these younger people to buy a home. There's lots of places where home prices are still pretty cheap, and the one that came to mind, there's lots of lower priced areas, especially down south. But the one that came to mind for me just to look at today is Arkansas. I remember driving through Arkansas and just being amazed at the open land and woods and undeveloped places that I drove through. Arkansas is a very unique place for a lot of reasons. But let's take a look at some home prices around a 100-mile radius or so around Little Rock. And I just pulled up a Redfin search for you. And this gives us a radius that's pretty wide. We start here in the middle with Little Rock. It goes all the way out to the surrounding areas. We got Bentonville in here and some other cities, some other smaller cities I haven't heard of. And I searched for a 3-bedroom house. We see we can get homes for in the $90,000 range. And some of them, not so nice. Some of them look not too bad actually. 114,000, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, pretty small, 1,000 square feet. Here's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,450 on the square footage for about 115,000. We see this interesting home right here. Looks like a rock wall built home, 115,000, 3-bed, 2-bath, 2,328 square feet. Now there's many lower priced cities that we can also look at with similar prices, but the thing is, the closer you are to a major city, major metropolitan area where the jobs are at, for the most part, the higher home prices are going to be. And a lot of younger people do not want to live in a rural location, and the younger people are becoming farmers less and less compared to older generations. Farming as a career path is something that's not looked at now compared to just even a couple decades ago. Now, I think that's likely going to change once we go through the next economic collapse. I think a lot of people are going to reconsider getting into farming, especially when you see what's going to happen with the price of food. We don't have enough growers. We have a lot of eaters, but not enough growers. And that's one of the big problems that you're going to see manifest here as we progress. And I think even this year in 2022, you're going to start seeing some pretty surprising things happen with the cost of living as a whole, but also included in that the cost of food. Now, I just want to mention that because when we think of rural areas, we think of people living out in the country, there's more farmers, etc. But now with the work at home trend, I want to call it a trend, but a lot of times people were forced to move and work at home with all of the office closures because of the sickness. With that work at home situation, a lot of people should be looking more at rural, low-priced areas. So people that complain about high home prices, ask them if they're looking in low-priced areas. Most of them will probably tell you no. They want to live in nicer areas. They want to live on the coast. They want to live in larger cities so they can work at a job, so they can commute into their office job, into the city, or whatever type of job they work at. Most jobs are located in the larger cities. That's just the way it is. Now, there was a nice article put out here just recently out of Mish Talk. The home ownership dreams of Zoomers and millennials shattered by prices. Home prices and rents are soaring faster than wages. And the Zoomers, also called Generation Z, like we just talked about a few minutes ago, over 1 in 3 Zoomers live at home with their parents. And another 1/3 of them are renting. And that makes the home ownership rate for Generation Z fall under 30%. So to sum it up here, things are not looking so good for younger people that want to own a home. And it's interesting because there's a few other channels out there that I watch here on YouTube, economist channels, and a lot of them predicted the housing market to come down starting here in January 2021. Now, price reporting is delayed by a month or two, so we won't see what the January number, the numbers are for prices for a couple more months. But I think people are going to be, many of us, not so surprised to see that home prices are still rising, just not as fast as they did in 2021. But prices will still rise. I don't see anything causing a real estate crash, except the wild card is the lawmakers. If the lawmakers come in and change the bank regulations, if the deciders decide to aggressively raise interest rates and stop buying mortgage-backed securities completely, that could really change the game. But I don't believe they're going to do that. Right now, it's more of a guessing game for the people that say there's going to be a housing correction or prices continue to rise or prices remaining stable. It's just a guessing game because this is a controlled market, as most of you probably know by now, completely controlled by the controllers. And I know this sounds like bad news to people, but this is reality. So hope everybody's good. Thanks for being here for this update. Please let me know down below, especially if you're a Gen Zer or millennial that is having a hard time being able to buy a home. My question to you is, have you looked out in the country in some of these smaller towns? Still a lot of affordable towns out there. If you really want to be a homeowner, good luck finding a job out in the woods. Thanks everybody for being here. Be well. Bye.